Welcome to His and Hers Movie Podcast. This is episode number 7, where we will be covering Fantasy Island, the new Blumhouse film. I am one half of your duo, JP, podcasting out of southwestern Pennsylvania. And joining me tonight is your fantasy and mine, Miss Carly, podcasting also out of southwestern Pennsylvania. What's going on?
Not much at all. Just chilling, killing. We actually spent the whole day together, like literally the whole day, morning to night, and now we are here potting. So that is cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. We had quite the long day. So we're not going to mess around too much. We're going to get into our weeks. We're going to get into some stuff that we watch. We will recap our Valentine's Day. We will talk about Parasite, a film that we watched this past week, as well as our featured review of Fantasy Island, the new Blumhouse film. And we will tell you if it's worth checking out. It came out a week ago yesterday, so it's kind of a little behind on the schedule right now, but that was my fault to go into my week a little bit. I kind of messed up my sleep schedule and basically pretty much
shot the bed,
stayed up the entire night and went to work on the day that we were going to record. So I was up like 30 some hours and I was like, I'm definitely not recording. And I basically did the same thing again, but, woke up at like midnight because my sleep schedule was messed up, and then stayed up all night again, went to work, and then came home and I was like, I don't feel like we're recording, and then it just one thing after another, and then we were supposed to record last night. I had sort of a little emergency come up, so it was just a mess, So basically my fault, so this past week was kind of a crazy one for me. Just a lot of ups and downs and very busy. Like, have to drive out to my mother's house and back, and just, that's kind of far away. And then I worked like a couple different shifts, and it was just hard to get in movies, hard to get in really anything. So that was my week. How about your week?
Yeah, my week was kind of annoying, I guess. Like at work, things have been kind of annoying on and off, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I feel like I haven't had time to really watch movies, or I've just been too tired to when I get home, and it's just been annoying. But it's also because I've been like recording podcasts too and watching stuff just for podcasts, and then they all, I do 2 other podcasts every month, or they're monthly, and we always end up deciding to record them like within the same 2-week period, so I end up just watching movies for that. But I feel like I never, for whatever reason, I keep having to like run somewhere after work, or this whole weekend I haven't really had any time to myself, so I haven't been able to really watch movies, and I've been like stacking up the movies again, and I have a lot of stuff I would like to crack open and watch, so it's been a little bit annoying, because I actually have been in the mood to watch movies. I just haven't had the opportunity, but it is what it is. I think I'll have some more time probably coming up this week, but just one of those weeks where nothing too exciting has happened, but it's just a lot of bullcrap, pretty much. You feel? Yeah.
Then today we woke up early. We went and ate at this diner. I got a Philly cheesesteak and you got chicken and waffles. If I'm being 100% honest, like, I've been to that diner before, like back when it was in the old building. And I used to think it was pretty good, but honestly, like, I thought the food was kind of weak a little bit. I didn't really say anything, but your chicken and waffles was kind of weak. Which I tasted yours, and you liked my Philly cheesesteak, but honestly, like, I'm a pretty big critic of Philly cheesesteaks, and it wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the chicken and waffles was just kind of like, I kind of wish I would have got something.
It didn't even come with hot sauce, which I thought was very weird.
Yeah, they didn't even have like hot sauce on the table, so I didn't bother. So you said it was in an old building. What do you like? Was it like the same? Because that diner is obviously 50s style. So what do you mean by old building? Was it just like
It
the
was
same
in a
type?
building. There used to be, I think there used to be a building there, or it was like further down the road or something.
Oh. Well, I dug, like, it's got that 50s style to it on the outside and the inside, but I had a critique because they were playing modern music, and to me, that kind of killed the vibe a little bit. But yeah, the food wasn't spectacular, but like I said, I always play it safe and get like something basic. But even then, yeah, the chicken and waffles wasn't great, so. But I'm glad we tried it because, it's in our town, and there's a lot of restaurants that Mr. JP and I don't go to. We just always end up winding up at the good old Taco Bell or something basic like that. So
yeah. Well,
I
was actually thinking
stuff.
about like starting to do some sort of like vlog series with the restaurants that we go to, because like I don't know, we like to try new things and try different foods and eat at different places, and I always feel like I guess it's just like being a podcaster and YouTuber, but I'm always thinking of content. Like I'm just like, oh, this could be content, and I feel like I just waste a lot of opportunities to make content. But yeah, maybe we'll have to do that. Maybe create a little his and hers YouTube channel or something.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool, and it should all be about eating because I love eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, but before we went and ate, we actually stopped so we have a drive-in in our town, and, for whatever reason, maybe just because the building that they own, it used to be a Radio Shack. It wasn't Radio Shack, it was called TJ Enterprise, but it was basically a Radio Shack, for years, and I used to, get a lot of stuff there, and growing up, they always had the coolest, like, remote control cars and different things that was new and stuff like that. And I basically, saw years ago that they kind of went out of business, or at least like just stopped doing stuff. But they also, own the drive-in, so they used like that building for storage too. So I noticed that they were like selling all their posters. So as you know, when a theater or a drive-in gets a movie to screen, they send posters. You see them in the marquees and stuff like that, in the halls and stuff like that. And sometimes they'll send a couple, sometimes they just send one, sometimes they send a bunch to give out and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, this place decided to sell all their posters. And I noticed they did this a couple months ago. I don't know if you noticed or not.
Well, yeah, actually, I was tagged in it by two high school friends, tagged me in the post where they put that, but the reason I didn't even bring it up is because it was the day we went to Living Dead weekend, so we couldn't actually go that day anyway, I remember.
Yeah. So, and I think they did it a couple times, like they sold the posters a couple times. So I think this was about like the third or fourth time they did it, but we finally ended up being like I just never noticed it until after it happened on their Facebook page. But we finally got in there, and you could tell, like, at one point they probably had stuff from the 80s on, maybe even the 70s on, but it was pretty much mostly like picked through by the time we got there today, over the past like couple times. But these people kept this drive-in has been open since like the, probably the 50s at least, I would assume. And so I'm sure they didn't probably have stuff from back then, or they probably actually sold that manually over the years. But I guarantee you, well, I know they had stuff from the 80s because we still ended up seeing a couple things from the 80s today, but I know they had to have like stuff from the 80s and definitely the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. But most of the stuff that was there now was like 2000s, 2010s, and like minor 90s, and what was left was like the stuff nobody really wanted. But we did find a couple of gems in there. So these are, full theatrical size one sheet posters, I believe. I think they are. They might not be. But they're definitely bigger than like the, 18 by 24s that you normally see, for movie posters. that you could buy on like Amazon and stuff like that, and 11x17s that you could buy on Amazon. But I'll say this. I was really mad because I seen some dude find a original Slumber Party Massacre poster.
Yeah, and I swear it was in a section that we looked at a million times.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
That made me so mad. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So, you know what? I'm kind of bummed I didn't get that Cursed 2 Cursed 2 poster. I lost it. I forget where I put it.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a Cursed 2 poster, and then, you found a Pet Sematary 2 poster, which I thought was cool, which you ended up getting. I found a My Soul to Take poster, which I didn't even open up and look at, which is funny. It might not even be My Soul to Take. No, I did check to make sure it was, but I didn't even like look at it. I also, so I got a My Soul to Take poster. I got a Prom Night 3 poster, which I've never even seen, but it was one of the older ones.
Yeah, that was actually the first one I just picked up and unraveled, and I was like, oh, they actually might have some cool stuff here.
I got dude, you know what I would have loved if they had an Overlord poster?
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Damn, that would have been cool. Because I loved Overlord, but so I got a Get Out poster as well. I actually grabbed the Get Out poster, and this girl was like, hey, sir, did you take the Get Out poster? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, I was going to take that. I just sat it there. And I was like, I just didn't care. So I was like, yeah, you can have it. But, but she ended up finding another Get Out poster, and she gave it to me, which I thought was really sweet.
Whatever.
And that, what else did I get? Halloween 2.
Yeah, then some dude
ripped, some dude, dude, how did that guy know we were looking for horror posters? It was creepy.
I wasn't really paying attention, and I saw he was showing you all these posters all of a sudden, and I assumed you told him or something.
No, it was weird, man.
He must have been looking for horror posters and just assumed.
No, dude, I think he was literally looking to give them to us. It was weird.
Huh.
Because when you left, he came up to me and he's like, hey, is this a horror movie, Vacancy? And I was like, yeah. I was like, it's actually not too bad. And he's like, oh, I don't remember that one.
Huh.
And I was like, he's like, here, if you want it. And I was like, yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, it was creepy. So what did I say I got? I got My Soul to Take.
Yeah.
Halloween 2 that is a little bit torn on the corner, which is okay, whatever. It's Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, not the original. So I got My Soul to Take, Halloween 2, Prom Night 4 or 3. And what's the other one?
Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever. Yeah, Cabin Fever.
Yeah.
And there's 2 of those in there. So you'll get one of those.
Hell yeah.
And then what'd you get?
I got The Ring. I haven't seen that movie in years, but I used to really love it, so I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. And then, of course, I got the Pet Sematary 2-1, and I got Annabelle Creation, because I like that movie, and I think that cover is actually pretty cool as well. Is there we're missing one, aren't we? There was another one you got.
That would have been...
I got 3, you got 5. I think you only named 4.
Halloween 2.
Yeah.
My Soul to Take.
Yeah.
Prom Night.
Yeah. Cabin
Fever.
Yeah.
And Get Out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it was fun. They were kind of overpriced, honestly. But I wish we would have got to go when there was the stuff from the 80s and 90s. That would have been crazy. I probably would have spent my whole everything.
I know, me too.
Maybe it's best that we didn't.
Yeah, it's I almost since we were there, I wanted to buy some stuff all those movies that I bought posters for. I like, but I would rather get older. I like to display older movies on my walls, which those things are so giant. I don't even think I have my own apartment, obviously, but my wall space, I don't have that much wall space.
These things are way too big to there's really not. I have no space for them, but
Yeah.
I figure I'll just find space for one of them, and I'll just rotate it out once I get them framed. Like I'll put it up in a frame for a while, leave it there, and then I'll take it down and I'll get another frame and I'll put my second one up. And I rotate posters a lot anyway, so it's kind of cool. But I was thinking back, I was like, dude, if I find like. I was thinking of stuff from the night. I was like, dude, if they had like Blair Witch Project or something, like I would love that. Like if they had, certain films I was thinking of from like the 90s and like I just, it made me almost like want to just start buying posters a lot. It's fun to get the little 11 by 17 ones because you can get so many of them because they're so tiny. You know, you can fit like 1 million of them on your wall. So, like, I almost want to just buy a bunch of those.
Yeah, I mean, that's what those, like, the chrome, shiny, whatever ones that we bought at those conventions. I have 6 of them now, and they look really cool on the wall, too. So I do enjoy those ones, and I have room for more, so those are the ideal ones.
To get a couple more of those as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so... that's what we did today, basically. And then we did go to the movies today, and see we did a double feature of, Brahms, The Boy 2, and
The
Lodge, which you will hear next week, on the show. Actually, probably later this week. We're probably going to be posting 2 shows this week, but, since we're late on this one, but you will hear that coming up. Along with some other stuff. So, I guess to kind of also recap a little bit in reverse here, we also had the Valentine's Day, night that we were talking about.
Yeah.
It kind of was a little bit of a fail, not gonna lie. And it's because of a couple of factors. One, I ended up having some family stuff that I had to do like during the day, and it like took forever, and I think that we didn't even get back till like 10 p.m. or something.
Yeah, it was pretty. I think it was like 9, but still, it was pretty late.
So we weren't as enthusiastic, and we were kind of tired, and we still ended up having fun and getting something out of it, but we didn't exactly follow what we were gonna do. So we did buy a bunch of food. We got like these steaks were insane. They were these 2 T-bone steaks. They're like probably like $16-17 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
They were super thick. Probably the nicest steaks I've bought, probably me personally. I had nicer steaks like one time when I was a kid. My uncle like got these crazy expensive steaks. They were like, it was like a $50 steak or something.
Jeez.
And he brought them in when he was like doing real well in life. And that to this day I think that was the best steak I ever had. My pap made them. That's when I found my love for steaks. I was like 10 or something. But yeah, so we got these T-bone steaks. We made like fettuccine Alfredo. We had some French fries and cheese, some mushrooms, which I burnt a little bit. Definitely not the best steak I ever made. I tried a different technique this time. It really wasn't like the best steak that I made. But they were still pretty good.
Yeah, and I ate a lot of the French fries and the mac and cheese we had, and I kind of got
mac
full.
And cheese instead of Alfredo.
Oh yeah, we decided the mac and cheese looked pretty good, like the white cheddar mac and cheese. That was pretty good, but I ended up eating the steak pretty much the next day, and it was actually still good, microwaved.
Actually, I didn't even heat mine up because I only ate half of it because it was a huge steak. It was like gigantic.
Yeah.
I ate half of it, and then I ate the other half the next day. Didn't even heat it up, dude. Still super tender. So it was actually like, it might have been better. It might have actually tasted better, which surprised me. Because sometimes it gets like gummy and, like the fat gets all gristly and stuff like that. But there was very low fat on these to begin with, but it turned out really good. The poll that we had in the group page landed on Spring and Antichrist for the art house horror Valentine's Day theme.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we didn't do that 100%, so we decided, you know what, I don't feel like watching I honestly didn't think Antichrist and Spring were going to win, or else I wouldn't have paired them together. Because I had just watched Antichrist for the 22 shots, and I really didn't feel like watching it again, even though it's a great movie. I just didn't feel like watching it again. It's like 2 hours, plus our day had already been really long, and I just watched it like less than a month ago. So we decided, well, what's the runner-up? Necromantic 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
which I like those movies. They're rough, but I like them. But I had forgot, I knew they were about, what you think they're about, and that's, necrophilia. But I forgot there's, other gross stuff that's happening, too, dead cats and gross organs and jars and stuff like that. And I totally just forgot about all that.
Everything was gross. Every single thing in that was gross.
And I forgot that, and I could be wrong on this, but it's either this movie or another one of the, disturbing movies. But I'm pretty sure there's a scene where it's just random footage of a rabbit being clubbed on the back of the head and skinned, its throat slit and then skinned like a real rabbit. I think that's in Necromantic, but it could be in something else. And as we popped it in, I also forgot that they were subtitled. I don't know why I forgot that, but I did. As we popped them in, we're cooking food, and I'm like, oof. I already knew this was a bad idea to eat while watching Necromantic 1 and 2, but I thought it was more of a bad idea, funny, haha, oh, it's gonna be gross while we're eating. I didn't realize that it was actually stomach churning, because we eat our steaks nearly rare too, so it's you know what, maybe this probably isn't the best idea, and I don't think you don't even really know about them, so I was dang, I think we should probably not watch these.
Yeah, I mean, we were gonna pause it while we ate, but even then, I didn't want to watch that and then be thinking about it while eating, and
also being sick. I feel like if our stomachs were really full, because we overate because it was Valentine's Day and it was a planned thing, a planned dinner. Yeah. So we overate more than we normally would, probably. And yeah, I was just no, this is probably not the thing to do. If we do that in the future, next year, and Necromantic, we decide to give those another roll, we'll probably, we'll start earlier in the day, watch those, and then, eat or something, not all in a row like that.
Yeah.
So we ended up watching Spring, which was part of the winning poll, so we at least did that. So Spring, what did you think of Spring?
I like Spring. I thought it was interesting. It was one of those ones where you're wondering what the heck is going on the entire movie, and it definitely, I see why people. I always would see people around Valentine's Day be like, "Oh, this one, Spring, that's a unique Valentine's Day type of horror movie. It's a love story," and I see why now. I think it did fit that very well. Just the overall tone of the movie I enjoyed as well. So I did like it. It was a fun ride. It was pretty, I would say, unique, and just certain effects in it I thought were really well done, and yeah, I dug it for the most part.
Yeah, Spring to me is one of the best romantic horror films. It has that whole Lovecraftian thing going on. With the tentacle monster type thing. I don't know. I'm not big into Lovecraft, but I do know when it's Lovecraftian, I guess. But yeah, it's actually Jeremy Gardner has a cameo in the beginning. He plays the friend, which I didn't plan that or know.
Yeah, I know, that was weird because I'd never really seen anything. That's one of those things that always happens. I never heard of someone in my life, and then all of a sudden they pop up all over the place. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I like how it plays out. It feels like a romantic movie. It truly does, and but it's just got this weird twist going on, and that's horror. Like, it doesn't even feel like a horror movie per se. It's more so just got this one little dynamic to it that's making it spooky.
What I really, really like about the movie is it's visually very well done. It's set in
Italy?
Yeah, I think Italy.
I think it was. I was gonna say like Italy, and then I choked too because I couldn't remember. But yeah.
But yeah, it's like this little villa thing that it's set in, like cliffside villa, which is really cool next to the ocean, and then you have this love story going on, and I think that the coolest thing about it is like with like 20 minutes left in the movie. The main character finds out the secrets of the other character, and it's literally like 20 minutes of them talking about it, like while out on like basically like a couple of last dates, and just like discussing like what like the mythology behind it and like what could happen and what has happened and what the history of it. And I just think that was an interesting way to kind of wrap up the movie. And then, like, there's really, like, no climax to this film. It kind of has, like, this moment, but because of how it ends, it's done very differently. And I actually liked that. Even when I first seen it, I was like, wow, I really like how they end that, because it works perfect for the conflict. But I know you were kind of like, what the F?
Yeah, it kind of pains me when that happens. It's like listening to a song that purposely doesn't have like a resolution. It just builds and doesn't let up or anything like that, like slowly fall back down. That's how I felt with this movie, because the movie's pretty long, and then that ending happened, and I was waiting for more movie, and then the credits roll, so I'm like, what the heck? So I get it, though. I understand it works well for what's going on in that particular film, but it just like, it's one of those things where I feel like something is missing type of deal.
So anyway, that was the first feature that we did, and I come in very high on Spring. I give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
I don't even remember what I gave it. I gave it an 8 out of 10, so yeah, right. I liked it.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
And then we decided to watch, this is the one that I wanted to watch from the beginning. I was hoping this won the poll. Part of the, I'll love you when you're dead, but not in that way, I think. And that was Return of the Living Dead Part 3, which is the love story one of the Return of the Living Dead. So Return of the Living Dead Part 1 and 2, very kind of similar in tone and story. Part 3, completely different in tone and story. It is first of all, it like oozes 90s to me. It definitely feels 90s. Just like Return of the Living Dead 1 feels 80s. But it also feels super low budget.
Yeah.
Like, did you notice that at all?
Yeah, I did. This movie, I never seen Part 2. I've seen Part 1, of course. So I kind of just skipped on to Part 3. Obviously, I guess that doesn't matter. But, yeah, this movie, honestly, I wasn't, like, paying, like, the most attention to this film. I feel like we were, like, talking a lot, and I'm bad at paying attention and multitasking with it. But, there was things I liked about it, things I didn't. I would like to rewatch it. I like the whole, love story element to it, where something tragic kind of happens, and it's, like, dude tries to fix it and make it right, and then it just makes things much worse. I always like that type of thing because it's depressing and tragic in itself. But
well, it's kind of interesting because this film actually, so it's Return of the Living Dead mixed with Pet Sematary almost.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. That's like the best comparison for it. And I like that. Like I said, I like that because it's like you try to fix something in that way, it's never gonna be exactly the same or what you wanted. And I think that's creepy and sad and disturbing. But yeah, I don't know, this movie, it's just got a weird vibe to it. It's got that beginning scientific-y stuff that I mentioned to you multiple times I don't really like, in movies too much. I just get kind of bored with it and think it's annoying. And if like when it's either, I don't know, scientists or like people working for the government or just like some undercover agency or something, anything like that, if that makes any sense, gets on my nerves a little bit in movies. But that's not like the entire focus of the film, so that wasn't a huge issue. It's just one of those things I was like, oh god, it's going to be one of those films. So overall, I did enjoy this one. I just would like to rewatch it eventually, though.
When I first seen this one, I rented it from Elmo's when I was a kid, and I didn't like it at all. I thought it was so lame, and the cover I thought was cool looking. It's basically this chick, Melinda Clarke, who has like glass and spikes and nails and all kind of stuff sticking out of her skin. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's such a weird thing, honestly, because like, so she turns into a zombie basically, but it's like the slow one where they're like, slowly getting from the trioxin. It's like slowly taking over their body, like in Return of the Living Dead, where they, Tom Matthews and Clu Gulager? Is it Clu Gulager? Is that which one's Clu Gulager? No, that's not Clu. I forget which one. Anyway, the two, is it Frank?
Yeah, I believe. Frank. Yeah.
The two of them slowly start, turning into zombies, basically. So it's kind of like that, but Melinda Clarke is, to stop her hunger, she starts, like, jabbing herself with, like, needles and, spikes and cutting herself and, sticking metal through her skin and stuff like that, like through her face and her lips and her cheeks and stuff. It's like very sadomasochist, and it was kind of just a weird spin on it, and I think it was just an excuse to make Melinda Clarke look all hot and have her boobs all out. And
right.
I don't know, man. She was, even when I was a kid, she was like super freaking attractive, and I hate redheads.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought she was alright, I guess, so.
But yeah, directed by Brian Yuzna, who you might know from Society, which is I'd probably say his best film. He also did The Dentist, which is one of my favorite films from him. He did Beyond Reanimator, did he do Bride of Reanimator? Here is the list of some stuff that Brian Yuzna did. Society, Bride of Reanimator, Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Return to Living Dead 3, Necronomicon, Book of the Dead, The Dentist, Progeny, The Dentist 2, Faust, Beyond Reanimator, Rottweiler, and Ambitions, Creatures of the Deep. But Yuzna's pretty cool. I've always liked his style and stuff like that. He also wrote From Beyond, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
And he has ties to the Honey, We Shrunk the Kids series, which is funny. He wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which is funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh, weird.
But yeah, so Yuzna, pretty cool. Return of the Living Dead 3. It's like weird. I'm a pretty big fan of this movie, although like I didn't like it the first time I seen it. I've seen it probably like in my life like 10 times. And most of them came from the Vestron video Blu-ray that I have, because I watched it like with the commentary, and then I watched it for the review, and I probably watched it again because I forgot to review it. So like 3 or 4 times, just from that Blu-ray. But I give it an 8 out of 10. I go back and forth. I think I've been as high as an 8.5, as low as a 7. But yeah, I kind of fluctuate on it. I just think it's a fun movie, honestly.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. I think it's pretty solid for what it is. Like I said, I would like to rewatch it, though, eventually one of these days, too.
Also, the uncut version on the Vestron is actually, like, quite a bit more gorier, so, that's worth seeing, too. With that said, that is our Valentine's Day. We had fun. It was cool. Next year we'll maybe do something different. I don't know. Maybe we'll watch 2 other horror movies. I mean, there really is like an endless amount of like loves hell. Like, I feel like a couple more came out this year, you know?
Yeah.
So, like romance horror type stuff. So, we'll check back with that. And, yeah, I guess what do we do next? Stuff that we watched this week?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
If you want to go first.
All right, I really barely watched anything this week. First up, I watched The Invisible Woman, that is, not The Invisible Man. Watch that.
Saving that for Invisible Man, which we do in like a week and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I figured I would go ahead and watch. I've seen The Invisible Man, and I've seen The Invisible Man Returns, and that's it, I believe. So I figured I would go take this opportunity since the new one's coming out, and we are actually seeing the original in the theater here, to go ahead and watch the other ones I haven't seen. Hopefully I can get, the other two. I think there's like 2 other movies, maybe.
I mean, honestly, dude, you should check out Howling.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I keep forgetting about
because that one is like the first attempt at a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really like it.
Was that maybe like actually intended to be like related to the Invisible Man, or was it just like ripping off the idea? Like, was it actually?
I actually don't remember. I don't think it was like supposed to be linked, honestly. I don't think it's like considered like a remake or anything like that, but it has Kevin Bacon in it, like he's the lead.
Yeah, I did know that, but yeah, I didn't. I've seen like the trailer for it. That's about it. I've never seen it, so I would like to try to check that.
So it is technically inspired by H.G. Wells' novel The Invisible Man. So.
Oh, cool. So it's an adaptation.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, Invisible Woman, this one was alright. It was like more, hokey, funny, and trying to be funny in a way instead of horror. It's more like sci-fi comedy, I guess you can say, where a woman becomes invisible instead of, the Invisible Man, and they kind of test out the invisibility on her, and then she there's just scenes where she has like a boss who's an a-hole, so she like goes and kind of torments him a little bit, and stuff like that. Yeah, this one, like I said, it's more kind of trying to be comedic in a way, and that comedy elements from that time period doesn't always work for me. So in this one, it kind of came off as a little cheesy, but I thought it was a fun movie at least. Just a fun little film. Nothing super exciting about it, in my opinion. You've seen that one, didn't you? When you did that, you did them all for your 31 Days of Horror that one year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, I didn't really care. I don't think I cared for any of them, really. Any of the Invisible Men movies. How many is there?
I just said, I think there's Invisible Agent, I know that, and I think there might be one more after that as well.
Did you watch Invisible Man Returns?
Yeah, I watched that one a while back. I don't remember it a whole lot, but I actually enjoyed that one as well.
I think I might have liked that one. I don't think I liked The Invisible Woman, and I think The Invisible Agent sucked too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, it took it out of like the horror and it was like action.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hate when they try to just change up the whole entire genre to begin with, but yeah, Invisible Woman, it was alright. Then after that I watched The Wild Bunch, which is not a horror movie, it's actually a Western. I watched that for the Cellular Dissections podcast, which just recorded yesterday actually, so that should be out here soon. That one I tried to watch twice. It's a pretty long 2.5 hour movie. I don't know, it wasn't really for me. I wanted to try to check out more Westerns because I've always been intrigued just by the style of them, and I kind of wanted to get into them, so I did watch this, and Derek picked that one, and we actually had Dave Parker on the episode. It's one of his favorite movies of all time, so he contributed quite a lot to the episode because he had a lot to talk about with it. But it's one of those ones I would think I would have to rewatch another time to really fully take it in, because there's a lot of just underlying details to it. There's a lot of characters and just a lot of sort of lessons within it, but it's kind of hard to take it all in the first time around. There was stuff I liked about it, like the violence and just certain scenes where stuff goes down. But besides that, I wasn't super into it this time around. But in the future, maybe a few years, if I rewatch it, I might like it a little more. Then after that, I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I'm doing for the podcast I'm doing with, or the Movie versus Movie podcast. We're recording that tomorrow, actually. So
what is it versing again?
The remake.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Which I watched as well. Good. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What can you say? It's a great classic movie, especially for that time period. It's definitely one of the best when you really think about that. Great film. I love it. I've watched it multiple times throughout my life. That's one I think I saw for the first time when I was 13 and really enjoyed it. And then the remake, I think that one is pretty great as well for different reasons. I think they're very different movies, just the way the stories are done. They're not super similar, but I think they're both done great in their own respects. So that's a good one as well. And then yeah, that's actually it. The last thing I watched was Parasite, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but
all right.
That's all for me.
So, one thing, so there is, after the Invisible Agent, there is the Invisible Man, the Invisible Man's Revenge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I thought there was two more, so, alright then.
Yeah, and there's also even, the Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man.
Okay, I don't think I watched that one yet either.
Yeah,
but
actually, in the Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, there's like a really cool Invisible Man moment at the end of the film. It's like one of the coolest things that, like one of the coolest parts of the Universal series. But yeah, so I've seen all those. I don't really remember, but I think the Invisible Man's Revenge at least takes it back to like the horror roots, which is cool. So,
mm-hmm.
All right. So let's see here. I mean, dude, let's see. I watched, first up, I watched First Love, the, like 90th or like fucking, damn it. There's my one F word, Watson.
Yeah.
The like 103rd or something film from Takashi Miike. It's his newest film. It came out last week from Well Go USA. I meant to review it on last week's show, but I just kind of ran out of time. This one has a lot going on. We have a boxer, like a boxer who learns that he has a brain tumor and he's pretty much gonna die. We have a crooked cop. We have like this Yakuza member. We have a Chinese gangster, with one of his arms missing, and a like femme fatale who's in here, and then we have this Chinese prostitute, or Japanese prostitute, who is hooked on drugs and kind of has visions of her father, who is stalking her in these this like ghost like thing, and you have like this heroine. It's like a crazy like crime film mixed with like just some craziness, because it has all this other stuff in it too, like even a little bit of horror with the like ghost stuff. And it's basically the boxer with the brain tumor finds out he's going to die, basically gets thrown in the middle of this thing because he just decides to try to help the prostitute, who's, running from the cop, and it basically, he's like, screw it, since I'm going to die anyway. And, they end up going on this wild and wacky adventure together. This movie is like kind of insane. There's even a part where a dude gets shot and like the heroine like flat like also gets shot, so it like the powder goes everywhere, and like the heroin addict is like trying to snort it off of like his clothes, and then like he's like, oh yeah, that feels nice because like it's on his crotch, and he's like, yeah, never mind. He's like, what are you doing? And he's like, never mind, keep going. And he's like, then he starts stuffing like his wounds with the heroin and stuff. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There's actually even like an animated scene involved, just like out of nowhere. I think it was, because of the what's happening on the screen might have been a little bit hard to pull off, but yeah, there's like all this Yakuza and gang stuff. There's, like fighting and shooting and all kind of stuff. I really liked it. It was a little bit hard to follow at times because there was so much going on. Like, this person's like intercepted a massive shipment of drugs, and this dude's an idiot and a sociopath, and like his plan didn't work, and you got this sex worker who sees her dad's ghost, and the boxer with his thing, and then the femme fatale is like killing this dude, and it's just like a crazy, it's almost like has like noir elements. It's like really like a hodgepodge of movies, but I really liked it. I thought I gave it like a 7.5. I thought it was pretty solid. Takashi Miike is a fun director. It was a little long. It went on kind of long, but other than that, I pretty much digged it. Cool. And then after that, like I said, we watched the 2 Valentine's Day films, and then what the hell did I watch? After that, I watched Igor and the Lunatics, which I caught on Tubi. That's a 1985 film. Trauma, basically this cult, gets released and wreaks havoc. There's like a pretty cool, there's some like decent gore in it and stuff. It's kind of sleazy, pulling girls' shirts off and cutting them up with a saw and stuff like that. But it was fun. Very, very, it wasn't great.
I thought it sucked.
Yes, it's crap. It's definitely crap. But
yeah.
Then which by the way, First Love was a Blu-ray, so that did count for the collection. Igor and the Lunatics, like I said, watched on Tubi. Then I opened up another DVD that I hadn't watched before, and that was a Blu-ray of Once Bitten. It's a double feature from Scream Factory with Once Bitten and what the hell was the other one? I can't remember what the other film in there is, but it's Once Bitten and another like vampire love story thing, but I think it's from the 70s. Once Bitten is actually very enjoyable. I really like the movie. It follows Jim Carrey, and he is playing like a virgin, like college student who's just trying to get laid with his girlfriend, and it's not working out. So he decides to go to this club and do this speed dating thing where he meets like this countess vampiress who needs virgin blood, and she basically takes him back to the house and seduces him, and then he's all in trouble with his girlfriend. It's a comedy, but it has like this like thick, like funky layer of cheese. Which I really appreciate. 80s cheese is good cheese, and the Once Bitten is definitely super cheesy, and it's like a super toned down Jim Carrey. Like he has these little bit of Carreyisms, but it's like super mellowed version of Jim Carrey. He hadn't fully realized himself yet. But I really actually liked it. I gave it a 7.
Yeah, I dug that one. It was fun.
And then after that, I watched, I actually had already opened this and watched it before, but, another Blu-ray that I had, which is Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. Honestly, like, I don't really care for this movie, to be honest. I actually have a DVD copy that's the old MGM DVD that's just been sitting in my collection for years since I've had this Blu-ray. Don't know what to do with it.
Ooh. Is that so?
Yeah, and so yeah, your sister's a werewolf. I don't know, man. It's just, it has like the cool 80s like cheese to it a little bit too, but I don't find any of the characters interesting, or I think it could have benefited from honestly having like a couple teenagers thrown in there, like have them be the leads instead of this like old dude. And there's some cool like nudity in it. It's kind of known for this like Sybil Danning nude scene. In fact, like in the credits, it like literally plays it on loop where she tears her shirt off with like the music. Like it literally is a loop of her tearing her shirt off during like the end credits. But yeah, so that's kind of the famous scene from this film. And she's in this like super sexy like leather thing that she's wearing. So Sybil Danning, sort of a legendary nude scene there, but I don't really like the Howling 2. I gave it it's still passable, but I gave it a 6 out of 10. And then I watched, I guess the only other film that I watched, that was from 85 as well. I watched one more 1985 film, and it is a film that I'm actually a pretty big fan of. We actually reviewed it on the podcast before, and I did happen to own the Blu-ray, and I have seen it before, so this doesn't count as an unwatched title for me. But it is The Doctor and the Devils. And this stars Julian Sands. He's in there. But it is an awesome period piece. And it follows a group of like hoods in the 1820s, Edinburgh, which it's Burke and Hare. So if you're familiar with the Burke and Hare story, it's basically about grave robbing, and I've always loved just the like feel of this movie, where you have like everybody in this town is like poor, like just like poor 1820s, like drinking and dirty, and like the streets are gross, and the pubs are gross, and these people are stealing these corpses and selling them to this professor who's trying to do research and stuff. But then they start murdering people because they're fresher, because they do the grave robbing, and the professor is like, these aren't fresh enough. So they start to kill people because then they're like, they're fresh because they just died. So yeah. Very, very, very awesome movie. I've always liked this one. I was actually shocked at how much I liked it when we reviewed it on 22 Shots, like way back in the day. Like, such a random episode this one was, because it's not like a known or popular movie, and it's not like cult really. So, but yeah, I am at like an 8 to an 8.5 on that one. It's always been a highlight for me. So that's definitely a contender for my 85 list, I would say.
Cool.
But there are a lot of good. I mean, I don't even know if I could say it's a contender, because my list is like nearly set in stone from the very beginning before I even watched anything. It was probably the 85 is probably the most like
you already know.
Yeah, like it's probably the most basic list ever. Which I think we're doing that show in May.
Yeah, I was told April.
Oh, then it's late April.
By you, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that is all that I watched this week.
Cool. Pretty cool. So, I guess we can move along. You want to talk about Parasite real quick?
Yeah, so the other night we went to go to the movies to see The Lodge on opening night.
Yeah.
And The Lodge is a film that came out late, at some point last year, hit the festival circuit, got some really good reviews, and got actually a wide release. So we went to go see that. When we got there, they basically was like, hey, there's like some technical difficulties. It might be a little bit. So we wait there. And I listened to this dude, when you went to the bathroom, I listened to this dude talk about rap, horror movies, and cars in like a 5-minute, 10-minute span. Like, he started off with talking about like Eminem and NF. And he started going into like Beastie Boys and NWA and MC Ren, and he's like talking about this dude. Like, the dude was weird, but he was kind of knowledgeable. And then he was like, by the time he got the cars, I like completely tuned out.
Yeah.
So we waited a while, and then the dude came out and was like, hey, we're not gonna be able to like show the movie tonight. Do you guys want to pick another movie to go to? There was a list. I was either thinking like Sonic, just out of general curiosity. We could have saw The Boy 2, but I wanted to get a chance to see The Boy 1 first, because I had seen it before, but it had been a while since it came out, basically, and I completely forgot the movie. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, I ended up not doing when we finally did go to see The Boy 2. And then there was like a film called The Call of the Wild, which I don't know what it's about, but it's called The Call of the Wild, which I assume it's in the wilderness, and there's a dude in a raft with his dog, and I'm like, it seems like a adventure, and I want to watch it. So I will probably get to the theater at some point and see that. I know you have zero interest, but F you,
Yeah.
I'll do what I want.
Okay, whatever.
So
I don't care.
the other film on the list was a film that we just never got to. So we were like, you know what? Let's actually check this out. It's not going to be in theaters too much longer. It is the Best Picture winner of the 2020 Oscars, the newest Oscars, and that is Bong Joon-ho's Parasite.
Yeah.
So we decided to go check that out. And there was this black dude there who was basically like, yo, because I made a joke. I was like, you know this film's subtitled, right? And she's like, and then he's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's like, there's words on the screen, but it's not that big a deal. And I'm like, bro. I was like, yeah, we watch a lot of subtitled films, man.
And I was so mad.
He's like, but it's effing great. And he's like, this is my third time seeing it. Like,
You
this
thought
guy
I was
went
a
to go
dumb
see
girl.
The Lodge, and then his, like, basically, he couldn't see it, and he could have picked any movie on there, and his decision was to see Parasite for a third time out of anything on that list.
Yeah, that says something.
Yeah. So we go in, sit down, and Parasite starts, subtitled. I actually probably chose poor seats for a subtitled film, considering there's a bar right in our face. We
Right where the subtitles pop up.
We like sitting at the top, but like some of the theaters, because there's like I think there's 20 screens at that theater. Yeah. At least. So like some of them have like bars at the top of like it's weird. But sometimes it's bad to sit at the very back, which we like to sit at the very back most of the time, but sometimes it's bad. And yeah, so what's up with Parasite?
You mean what is it about? Or what do I think of it?
Whatever.
Alright, well, I guess I'll run down what it's about, which is something I'll say right off the bat was, I saw nobody at all really saying what this movie was about. They're all just saying, oh, this movie's so amazing, and that's what made me really want to go see it, because usually by that point, you know every detail about a movie before you even see it, but it's like no one was really saying, so I thought that was kind of cool. But to give a brief rundown, I'll just read what's on IMDb. Greed and class discrimination threaten the newly formed symbiotic relationship between the wealthy Park family and the destitute Kim clan. That still doesn't really give away the entire thing, but yeah, I like this movie quite a bit. I honestly, when we sat down and started watching it, I wasn't really feeling having to read subtitles, honestly, despite, me just getting mad that guy told me it's not a big deal. But I was kind of like, because we came to see a different movie that wouldn't have been subtitled, and this, Parasite's like over 2 hours long too, so we sat down, we started watching it, and I'm kind of thinking like, oh man, I don't know if I can really sit through this whole thing. It's, I don't even know what's going on exactly at the beginning. But as the movie progressed and when the story started to play out, I fell more and more in love with it. I could see why people were speaking so highly of it. It's shot very well. The music the score rather, is fantastic throughout the entire film. There's a lot of great beats of comedy in it too that are actually pretty funny. I wasn't really expecting that, but yeah, overall I thought it was very solid. Like I said, I didn't know what I thought I was gonna be disappointed by it a little bit, just from the initial beginning part, but then if you just sit and take it all in, it's actually really, really good. So that is my opinion. What is yours?
Yeah, so Parasite was really good. I think that, like, the classism thing is, right there for you to explore and kind of sink your teeth into. It's, there right off the bat. But I think that, like, the strength of the film comes from the performances, honestly. I thought that everybody, like, kills their role.
Yeah.
And I really dig, like there was actually the scene where they're in the house, and family comes home, like I actually found that pretty tense. Like I was like kind of on the edge of my seat. And then it's beautifully shot for sure. There's some great cinematography in it, some great things. And as somebody who's recently watched a bunch of Bong Joon-ho films, I could say that comedy exists in all of his movies. There is these offbeat comedic moments in all of his films. And the first film that I watched of his, Memories of a Murder is like a super serious subject mattered film. It's about a serial killer basically who like rapes and kills women. But there's still like tons of the beats of comedy in it, and all of his films have that comedy, which I think is like a staple to his. I mean, I've only seen 4 of his films, but the 4 that I've seen all have it. And I think that he just is very talented. If I'm being 100% honest, this is my least favorite of his films. I think it's his second best though. It's definitely his second best, I would say, but it's probably my least favorite. There are some really, really good moments in this movie, and I like what it's saying. It might have got a little overhyped for me. I don't know. I don't know if that affected my enjoyment, if I was expecting a little bit more out of it. But I think that it's a very good movie, and I think that there's stuff in it that can be talked about and analyzed, like the stuff with the classism. But what was that? There was something I mentioned that I was like, didn't make sense or something like. I don't even know what it was, but I couldn't. Do you remember? I don't know if I was joking or not.
Is it the Morse code thing or no? No.
Yeah, the Morse code thing was a little ridiculous. I thought that whole thing was a little bit ridiculous.
And I agree. It was a little too much, not realistic at all.
Yeah.
But what didn't make sense? I don't know.
I mean, there was some stuff in there that was a little outlandish for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked the whole setup, how like they're infiltrating the family, first the son, then the daughter, it was kind of fun seeing how that all played out and stuff like that. But and then it was actually very sad. There's very sad moments in it. Like even the flooding is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
And the the kind of final climax thing that happens. And I actually really liked how it ended. I will give it that. That was one of the strongest points for me. But yeah, it's a very good movie. I don't even really want to say this because I'm very happy for this director because he's made some great movies. And honestly, Memories of a Murder is very good. But dude, I think the Joker's better. Just gonna say it.
Yeah, I don't know. They're very different films. Do you mean just shot-wise or just
I just think it's a better
film?
movie all around. I think Joker beats it in every aspect probably.
I think Joker definitely connects with me more with just the messages and the, messages on society and mental health and all that stuff. So I do kind of agree with that. This one, like I said, is very different. It's, to me, this one's more of an entertaining film. It's got comedy. It's had a few moments where I teared up. So it's, I don't know, in a way, when I think really, if I had to choose one, it's hard to say. I feel like they're kind of neck and neck, but because they're so different, it's hard for me to really compare which one I would say I like more.
See, the one thing that I I was thinking back and I'm like, this guy really gets mad at when people say he stank, but I say you stank all the time and you don't get that offended.
I get pretty upset, honestly.
Upset enough to kill a man?
One day it's gonna really rub me the wrong way, and I might. So
yeah.
No, but I actually do agree with you. That element to the movie and the Morse those small.
I mean, I get it. He's had a rough go, and
mm-hmm.
he's constantly put down, and he's constantly which they don't do a ton of examples of that, which you normally get, but you're just supposed to understand that, like, he's had it rough. Like, him and his family have had it rough for probably their whole lives, and, you know, the whole, you know, seeing it firsthand, like, the classism aspect, you see, like, how cushy these people are living, so I get what they're trying to say, but yeah. So yeah, I gave Parasite a solid 8.5 out of 10. But for me, Joker was the best film of the year last year, personally, for me.
I guess technically Joker would win for me because I gave that one a 10 out of 10, and I actually gave Parasite a 9.5 out of 10.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah. But Bong Joon-ho, yeah, he's really awesome. I would actually be curious to see all of his films. I don't know how many more he's done, but he's a great director. And I love what he said about how, like, being able to read subtitles can, letting your guard down enough to just give subtitle films a chance, and you open your world to, like, a whole new realm of cinema and stuff. I don't know what his exact quote was, but I like that speech that he gave. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was our experience on Parasite. And I guess now time for the main event. We checked out Blumhouse's Fantasy Island, and it actually was funny. I saw Rob from Georgia in 22 Shots group post a thing because of the, I believe, Dawn of the Dead 79 announcement of the 4K. He said, what's your favorite island horror? And I was like, thinking, and I was like, holy crap, we just seen an island-based horror film. And I started thinking of all these island-based horror films. Dude, the island-based horror film is a very underrated location, setting, and theme for a horror film. I really like the island setting.
Yeah, I would agree. Any movie I've seen where it's set on an island, I do enjoy, because just the idea of you're on an island, and it's very isolated, and if you need to get off that island, you might be screwed. I do like that concept. And it's utilized in different films in different ways, too. It's not always like the same plot of film, so you can do different things.
Sometimes it's just sometimes it doesn't even have anything to do other than it's just, that's where it's
where they're at. Yeah.
Like, dude, I didn't realize how many awesome movies are set on an island. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is one that I was thinking of that is really cool. That both of us really enjoyed when I was watching 76 Moves.
72 Moves.
Was it 72?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah, that made
we don't make a joke about 76 Moves.
That made my top 10 of 72.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we were watching that, we were prepping for 72 Moves.
There you go.
All right. Serpent in the Rainbow. It's Haiti. So technically Haiti is like part of a bigger group of, like, it's one island, but it's like one country on the island. But technically it's an island. Caribbean. The Island from 1980. That's a pretty fun one. I still Know What You Did Last Summer. One of my favorite island setting films. Just because it truly feels like that tropical, like, Bahamas, like, rainstorm hurricane thing. Like, I like that vibe.
Yeah.
That it has, even though the plot is pretty dumb. What are some other island faves? I mean,
I just watched The Slayer. I believe that was an island that they're on.
It was an island. Isn't April Fool's Day an island as well?
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah. I think there's what's the other island? The American Gothic, I think, is an island film, which that one's fun.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. What other island films are there, dude? There's that
Sweetheart movie from last year was one.
What, Sweetheart? Oh yeah,
Sweetheart. Yeah, that one wasn't like great, but it was set on an island. What else? I'm trying to think. I keep thinking of movies where they're like, we have to get off this island or something.
There's King Kong.
Oh yeah, true.
Skull Island.
Is Jaws set on? Is that an island they live on Jaws?
No, I think that's more like Is it? Is it an island?
Amity Island. Or I think it's like filmed like technically on an island. I don't know if that's supposed to be where they're
here we
living,
go.
but...
I found a huge list of island horror films.
Oh God.
All right, so I'm gonna list off some of these. Let me know if you've seen them. Zombie 4.
No.
It's good. It's not great. Actually, I'm thinking of Zombie 3. Zombie 4 is kind of not good, but it's fun. American Gothic, which I mentioned. And then there were None, which I've never seen.
Nope, me either. Never even heard of it.
Anthropopagus, which is good.
Never seen it.
April Fool's Day, also good.
All right, there you go.
Battle Royale, also good. Very good.
Never seen it.
Beast of Blood, never seen it.
Nope.
Black Rock. Nope.
Never seen that one.
The Black Waters of Echo Pond, that's okay.
Never seen it.
Bleeders, that one's fun.
Never seen it.
That's from 97. Blood Tide, Bloodlust. There's Blood Tide and Bloodlust. Haven't seen either of them.
Then in Bloody New Year, wasn't that one set on?
Yep, that's the very next one. That's
okay. That's why I was wondering if it. Okay.
The Breed. That's a fun killer dog movie. Michelle Rodriguez is in that.
Never seen it.
Brides of Blood. That's part of the Blood trilogy. Not very good. I can't even read the title of that one. Cabin Fever Patient Zero. Have never seen it, but apparently it is set on an island. The Call of Cthulhu Island. Children of the Shouldn't Play with Dead Things Island. Club Dread Island. I haven't seen Club Dread. Cold Skin. I've seen that. That's an island.
Yeah, me too.
The Lighthouse Island.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dark Island, never seen. Dark Waters, never seen. Just stop me if you've seen any of these. Tokugawa, never seen. Devil Hunter, never seen. Doom Watch, I have seen for 72 moves. It wasn't good.
I don't remember. I don't even think I saw whatever that is.
Yeah. Dorothy Mills, never seen. Dungeon of Harrow, never seen. Eugene, never seen. I don't even know what the heck that is. Never seen it. Foes, Fear Island, never seen it. Let's see. Fog Island. Food of the Gods, that one's fun.
I bought that one. I have it on DVD. I haven't watched it yet, though.
The Tribe, never seen it. Frankenstein Island, never seen it. From Hell It Came, I recently picked that up, but I've never seen it. A Game of Death, never seen it. Grabbers, that one's fun.
I have that one too. I've seen it.
Grave Bandits, Hammer of the Vampire, Have a Nice Weekend, Horror Island, Horrors of Spider Island. Man, there is a lot of these. I'm gonna quickly just pick ones to highlight a few. Hour of the Wolf, that's good. That's Ingmar Bergman. House of the Dead, not good, but whatever. Humongous. I actually enjoyed that one. That's a slasher. I Eat Your Skin. I Walked with the Zombie. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Island of Death. That one's kind of fun. The Island of Dr. Moreau. The Island of Lost Souls. The Island. The Snake People. It's Alive. 3. Island of Alive. I should watch those. The It's Alive movies. Jack Frost 2. Totally forgot that was an island. Jaws 4. Crocodile 1 and 2. Jurassic Park, a lot of the King Kongs, The Lighthouse, Mintango, which was good, They Nest, that one's awesome, and that's pretty much it from the ones that I know. So there is a ton of island horror. There was probably even another 20 on that list that I'd just never heard of.
I know, yeah, I've never heard of half of those.
Yeah, I've actually seen a lot of those, surprisingly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into Fantasy Island. You got a synopsis on this?
I do. Let's see. Okay. The eccentric Mr. Rourke makes the secret dreams of his lucky guests come true at a luxurious but remote tropical resort. But when the fantasies turn into nightmares, the guests have to solve the island's mystery in order to escape with their lives.
All right, so of course this review will be mostly, I'm going to just say it's spoiler free. I'll work hard not to spoil anything. So, we have, 5 people heading to this island as part of this almost like beta testing participant thing. This is going to be a huge, basically vacation spot for people to live out their fantasies. So, we assume that there's some kind of questionnaire taken beforehand, but there's something supernatural, otherworldly going on right away, because there's no way these people would be able to know some of the stuff that they know about these participants. But we have a brother combo. One of the brothers is an Asian gay dude, and the other one is a straight white male. And then we have a younger girl who seems a little promiscuous. Then we have a dude who sort of, the handsome white dude who seems to have a chip on his shoulder type thing. Everybody has their own fantasy. And then there's like a middle-aged, maybe not middle-aged, like, what would you say, like 30 something?
Yeah, like early 40s maybe.
Woman. And each of them has their own like fantasy, which is basically what they would like to do. So the Asian dude and the white dude basically want to just party and live it up. Sort of chip on his shoulder white dude wants to sort of live out his fantasy of being in the military, because his father was in the military and died a hero, but he never enlisted himself. And then we have the promiscuous girl who is the hot chick, and she wasn't hot all the time. She was apparently like severely bullied in middle school or whatever by another girl, and she wants to basically torture that girl. And then the middle-aged woman wants to sort of relive her her declining to marry her boyfriend, guy who proposed to her. She wasn't ready to take the next step, so she gets to live out a fantasy of where she did marry him and has kids. So it's done basically they're just living out this stuff that they want. There's no like holograms or anything. They are just living it out on this island. And basically, things sort of go wrong a little bit. There's definitely some sinister stuff to this whole thing. Like, we first see the girl, the hot chick, torturing her middle school or high school abuser, and realizing eventually, like, holy crap, this isn't a hologram, this is a real person. So she goes to save her, and this, that, and the other. And then all the stories kind of intertwine a little bit. The military dude is actually being shot at, and his twist is that he's actually in his father's platoon. So he has a chance to reunite with his father that he hadn't seen since he was a kid. Sound about right on all this?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just get into like what we liked and didn't like. You can start if you want.
Yeah, out of the movies we've seen so far this year, I was pretty entertained by this, which by the way, I don't know if you realize this is like based off of a 70s TV show.
I told you that and you were like, nuh-uh, dude.
You told me there was an original movie to this.
You know what I meant.
I wasn't gonna, well, you were like, you should watch it, and there's like a 5-season TV show, whatever. Okay, but anyway, yeah, so there's that. But yeah, I thought it was actually a pretty entertaining film. I think it had some cool, sets, like the part where the dudes are going to party. At that party, it's like this insanely huge party with like all these girls in bikinis and a swimming pool and all that. So it had like a lot of cool stuff to just look at. There were some moments in it that were kind of comedic as well. A few of them were a little bit cringy, but some of them worked for me. I thought they were rather funny. The movie, though, to me, it almost feels like you're, like, kind of thrown into it from the start, and I think they eventually do, but they don't really explain how all these people ended up there that well. They're just, it opens up with them all arriving on the island, and then they're kind of, like, saying, like, oh, here's the fantasy I want, and all that. So, I feel like there's not a ton of developments with it. And then the biggest issue really is kind of how it all wraps up at the end. There's like a reveal and it's super duper ridiculous and cheesy. And I kind of get, it's like I kind of understand. It's like in a way a message, I guess. And it's, you know, a little bit relatable for me, but at the same time, it's just super over the top. And I will say there is like one line of comedy that makes it, like, softens it a little bit, because it's one of those lines that addresses the fact that it's ridiculous, and I always appreciate a movie.
I was trying to remember what that line is. I can't even remember it or what it was in reference to, but I remember being like, okay, I'll give the movie a pass since they're acknowledging that it's super ridiculous.
Yeah, like, I remember it, but I'm not gonna say because that would probably give away what happened. But yeah, I enjoy that. You know, they kind of did that in Three from Hell too, with like, you know, they addressed why the one character was acting crazy. But so I did like that. But in general, I think it's an entertaining movie. I didn't think it was anything too special.
I definitely remember the line now.
Yeah. But it's nothing special in my opinion. It feels very tame too, very PG-13. It doesn't feel as horror.
Feel like it was almost marketed more of a horror film than it actually is.
Yeah, it feels more like an adventure survival thriller of sorts. Probably the most horrific moment is her, you know, torturing that girl, but all the other little stories you get don't really play out like that too much. So, but it was alright. It was alright. It wasn't great, but I just thought it was alright. So, what did you think of it?
Yeah, you know, there was some stuff that I really liked about it and some stuff that I really didn't like. For one, I really liked the concept, this like sort of almost like Final Destination-esque narrative where they're seeing like how these stories play out, and you know, like how they like how they're connected to each other and intertwined and stuff like that. I kind of liked all that, but it just there was you know, and I like that torture scene, you know, because it was like kind of funny, and you like the audience kind of knows what's going on right away. And then also just there's like this like lurchy dude who is like this doctor slasher villain character who's like kind of hunting them at the same time. And actually Michael Rooker's in this too. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
But I think that like it's super convoluted. Like even the reason that the reason for the fantasy island is convoluted. Like the reason for the characters being there is convoluted. Like it is very convoluted. Like the film does acknowledge it at one point, but it's super ridiculous. I think where the film like really kind of like loses me is like with the whole like Colombian-esque like drug lord type dude who's like looking for the cocaine, and like with the guns and the, you know, the hostages and stuff. I feel like that really kind of takes it out of the horror territory, and it becomes something else. I actually think for the most part in this film, the comedy like 100% works. Like I didn't have a beef with like any of the comedy really. I think that you know, it's kind of like it's like trying to be hip at times too, and I get that, you know, it's for like the modern audience, teens and stuff like that. So I was okay with that. That stuff usually doesn't bother me. The setting was really cool, like the island setting. Like it feels like a big movie. It really does feel like the budget was there on this one. I think overall I don't think that it really fleshed out a good concept, and it kind of becomes like level 1-ish throughout the whole thing, like the basis of what you would come up with this idea. And it could have gotten a little bit deeper, it could have gotten a little bit better, and I think that overall I was entertained throughout the whole movie. I will say that I didn't have a problem. I wasn't like with the turning where I was like waiting and praying for it to end. Same thing with the Grudge. Like I remember just like couldn't wait for the Grudge to end. Like I just wanted to leave so bad. I didn't have that with this film at all. I actually enjoyed watching the whole thing. I just don't think it's like that good. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. I think that it just kind of is basic in a lot of ways. It's entertaining. It's, basic entertaining stuff, but it just could have been better. It just feels like it could have been better. I liked aspects about it, but I didn't like some stuff too.
Yeah, it's like one of those throwaway movies that I could see watching with a group of friends and kind of enjoying. So I do give it that, because I feel like nowadays, even the movies that you think are just going to be, a mindless movie I could sit back and watch and be entertained by at least, aren't even like that. The Grudge being a good example of that, where it's just super boring and not well made. This movie, like you said, you could see that there is a budget to it, so it's entertaining to look at. It's got decent comedy moments, and the story is entertaining for the most part, so it's one of those ones that I could watch again and be alright with, but I don't think it's anything super fantastic.
Alright, so with that said, let's get into ratings here. I will go first. This has been sort of a lukewarm year for me, and I think I don't know if I've been harsher. I think I am. I think I'm actually being a little bit harsher. Somebody else brought that up too. But my ratings just aren't, I'm just not going super easy on these films. Listen, they have to earn their ratings.
Keep in mind, it is dump month.
Shut the hell up.
Okay.
I almost feel nervous to say these ratings sometimes, but, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6.
You're hesitant on it.
I feel like this is a classic 6.25, but I don't do that, so.
Yeah, I don't think I've gotten bitter with my age just yet, like you, with movies, because I am very generous with my ratings still, even if I don't think it's a good movie. I have a hard time rating stuff below the 6 range, or the 5 range, rather, but, this one I gave a 7 to this one, because 7 out of 10, just because it was pretty entertaining to me.
See, my thing is, I just think that Hansel and Gretel is, way better. Not way better, honestly not way better, but better. And I gave that a 7, I think, so I was just I can't give this, the same rating.
That is a good point, when you really compare
Which
films.
Isn't the best thing to do, because, they're kind of living their own world of ratings, but I'm using that as a standard for the year. Okay, this is what my 7s look like.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Is that it?
That'll do it.
Alright, so next week, guys, we will have a episode on The Lodge. We were originally going to make it on The Boy 2, but honestly, we saw both of them this week, and we feel like The Lodge is the more title film. So we're going to go with The Lodge. And if you're keeping track, we now have seen 6 films, I think.
Yes.
6 films from 2020, and I am 0 for 6. I think. If there was 6, I'm 0 for 6. In terms of listable films, meaning films that have potential to make lists. Films I would be happy with on lists. So, The Grudge, no. The Turning, no. Underwater, no. What was after that?
Gretel and Hansel.
Gretel and Hansel, no. That's probably the closest.
Yeah.
And then this film, no, I guess that's... Or no, After Midnight.
After Midnight.
No. This film, no.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm rating things higher than you, but I completely agree. I would not want to be here's my top 10 list for 2020. I would not feel comfortable doing that. So I pretty much... What?
Go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
Go ahead.
I was done.
Oh. Will The Lodge or The Boy break the trend? Will one of them be the first good film of 2020? Find out next time on His and Hers Movie Podcast.
You're stupid.
Why am I stupid?